All right, so we are doing the front brakes and rotors, to the front pads and rotors today. The pads on this are trashed. You can see the rotor. Oh, it's focusing good. You can see the rotor is not. It's got a lot of material left on it, but it's just rusty and beat up. So we're just gonna do it. We're just replacing the whole thing. One thing we noticed when we got the other side done, which really quick, let me put in a plug here. We decided to take the sensors and just complete the circuits on those sensors. So the front left tire has the sensor and the back right tire, passenger side, has the sensor. So front driver, rear passenger. And if you just clip those wires and loop them together, and then there's a video I did on how to do that. There's a few videos online. So the sensors, they're useless. I mean, those pads, these brakes will likely last for 50, 60, 70 more thousand miles, so it's the least of our problems. And I don't want a sensor telling me when my brakes are going bad. If they start to squeak or if they're not working, your brakes are going bad. So I'm not concerned about it with this car. So when we got our new rotor on the other side and we went to turn it, we noticed there was a little bit of rub, like like 3/4 of the way around, you'd hear a little shh, shh, shh. So we were worried about that until I came over here. This one rubs the whole time. So my guess is, as you're driving and the pressure's changing, your brake lines and blah, 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 then that's going to change. So we'll see. We're just putting these new ones on and seeing how we're going to do it. So anyway, the first thing we're going to do with you guys watching is we're going to take our Allen wrench and lock this. And then we need our 6mm or a 5mm Allen wrench. That's probably still over on the other side. So we're going to pause the video and Link will go grab it. Okay, so the other one came off really easy. There we go. Some of these are just a little bit. My gloves back on. Oh boy, that is like weirdly stuck. I'm gonna give it a little love and see if we can break it free.
What the?
It's weird. It's like the
Tightening the wrong way.
Probably what I shouldn't have done that I did is I didn't have it quite locked, and so when I started to loosen this, it shifted and probably might have turned the rotor a little bit. Oh, crap. We're gonna try this. I don't know, I'm not super concerned about that snapping off or anything, but it should get easier theoretically as we go. It should get easier. I think that's what I did, is I put it on a little bit of a bind. Dang it. I'll have to be more careful getting it on there.
Wish I was getting
But
easier.
if it's on a bind, if the rotor shifted, the good news is we won't have to pound this rotor off. The other one, we had to beat the crap out of it with a hammer to get it to break free. Hit it with a bunch of WD, and then it had some corrosion behind it, so we cleaned that up with a wire brush. Oh, that nut looks good. Or that bolt looks good.
Mm.
So, okay, so we're going to take off. We've got, let's see, back here is the same as the back ones. You've got the dreaded 7mm Allen wrench, which we finally just went and got a good set. But beware when you buy sets, a lot of them skip 7. So we got a 7. We got our 7-inch Allen wrench bolt here. That's it doesn't come all the way out. It just disconnects the caliper from the caliper frame. We've got another one exactly the same spot on the bottom, right there. And then we've got two 19, same as the back. There's just two there's two 19 millimeter bolts that hold the caliper frame on. So we're going to take the caliper off, and then we're going to take the caliper frame off, and we'll come back at that point. Let's pause it. Okay, the nice thing about the front rotors and pads is you can, when you jack it up, you can turn the wheel, you know, to make it convenient. So, okay, we took, these are off, the two 7 millimeter caliper nuts are off, and so now I'll just show you this. Just you tip it back and then wiggle it, and it all comes out. So you can see the condition these were in. That's the backs of them. The front's not the worst ever, but it's just all textured and crappy. I don't know. Oh, big mistake. I let this drop. I shouldn't have. We're going to take our wire and we're going to wire that up to right there. Shouldn't just let it hang. You do not want to mess with your actual brake lines. So, okay, now we're just going to take off the nuts that hold this. Let me see if I can get a picture of those. Let's see. We're going to pause this while we hang this, and I'll show you where those are located. Just hold it down there. Okay, so we got our the brake line hung there on the original caliper. We might hit that with the wire brush a little bit. I forgot about that. The last one. Then we'll definitely, when we take this off, we're definitely just going to hit it with the wire brush like any of the contact points. But this is, that's one, let's see. It's probably not going to focus in low light, but that's one nut. And that's the, up here, I hope you can see it. There's the second one up there. They're not hard to find. But with your caliper off, they're so much easier to get to. And I put a open end wrench on it and then just smack it to get the same effect as like an impact. You know, we don't have any impact tools, so just to break them free, and it helps. So we're going to pause and get that off of there, and we'll come back. Okay, I just want to show you guys how hard it is to get these off. These front ones are really, they're not rusted, they're just got some corrosion on them. So you just put you hit it with some WD-40 back there, let it sit for a minute or two, put your open end wrench on, and then making sure it's not on a bind, it's nice and straight. You just smack it a few times, and it has to, oh man, it's so tight. There we go. Okay, they're both broken free now, but that's what it took. The other side was a lot easier because we could hit down on it. We were hitting down, but not over here. So, all right, we're going to come back when we get this all the way off. Okay, I'm going to show you guys. This one's actually in better shape than the one on the other side, but any of these contact points, I'm just going to hit with a wire brush. And then we're going to pull this off, and I'm going to do this there's just a plate behind this that it sits on, and I'm just going to hit that with a wire brush, WD-40, and wipe it really good and get it all clean. So we'll go to that point. Okay, clean this off pretty good. We're just hitting it with a little bit more WD. When you do the wire brush and then hit it with WD and wipe it, you can see kind of where you still need to hit. But some of the stuff around this part is really, it's pretty corroded, not super rusted, but just anyway. So let me hit it one real quick with this so you can see. So it's pretty bad. But I mean, it's fully functioning. We got no squeaks, it's fine. It's just what it is. So now, okay, so what we are going to do is put our grease on this, on all the surfaces. Try to keep it out of the different, the bolt holes here. We don't want those greased up necessarily. We might want a little WD to keep them from rusting, but we're going to hit this on all these surfaces where that rotor is going to sit. And then we're going to compress this. This is pretty beat up. I don't know what to do about it though. I'm not replacing that or rebuilding that diaphragm today. So we've got our C-clamp, and we just set it on there. We actually put a piece of wood across and just compress it down. It stays compressed until you push the brakes. So we're gonna get all this prepped and ready, and we'll come back when we've got the ready to put the brakes on and show you kind of how those go, because it's not super straightforward. So all right, okay, we got our bearing here, our plate greased up. Rotor's gonna go on. The easiest way to do this is with your finger, but it gets everywhere. So I just dab it around and then use this time I just put a paper towel on my finger and went around and got it everywhere. So you have to line this up like so, and take your bolt. Again, this is a 5mm, like so. Let's see if it goes back in better than it came out. I think we were on a bind. That was the issue, sure enough. Okay, and then to get it back on, you can get it plenty tight now that you have a good handhold. There's probably some sort of torque spec on there, but I don't know. I just tighten it up good and tight. Okay, rotor is on. We are going to start putting brakes back on. Lincoln.
Okay.
Okay, we got our caliper frame back on, and so now we've got to compress our brake drum, or whatever, the diaphragm. They say that's kind of beat up. I don't know what to do about it. Compress it, and then we're putting our pads in here, and we'll come back when we're doing that, because there's some stuff you got to know with these springs. Both end up on the inside. We thought they went on the outside, but they're just tensioners. So they go on the inside, and there's a kind of an easy way to do that and a hard way to do it. So, okay, we'll come back. Okay, so we just put our pads into the frame. So again, these wires, when we put the caliper on, those wires, we want to compress those and spread them out. So you put the caliper down into this, and then you push it up. And the back one is actually the only one that can like pop out of this hole. So you got to make sure that you got both those wires right on both sides of that hole right there. So actually, while Lincoln's filming, I'll try to do that. You can see we've got our drum compressed, and you can see this drum's got a little rip in it right there, so that's not good. But anyway, oh, you got to push these back, push your bolts back, get everything completely out of your way. It would have been nice to clean. It would be nice to have like a sandblaster and to clean all this up, but like we don't, so it'll be all right. Okay, so that side goes in, and you just start working them on. So I can see like back here, one of these is sticking through. Okay, so they're good. Okay, so I'm going to, while I got this, I'm gonna try to get this in. Get that bolt in while I've got it. This would be a lot easier if we had a set of, like a socket set for these, but we don't. So you gotta just do it to it. Once you get that top bolt in pretty well, you're good. You're golden. So that's in. I'm gonna not tighten it up, so I'm just gonna show you really quick. So on the back of these, you just want to make sure that you don't have any of those wires sticking through. So that one is on this side here, one's there, and as we turn this, you can hear that there's a little bit of rub. So I don't know what to do about that. It's not terrible. We're going to get this all. Before, yeah, it's how it was before. It's really just those pads sitting pressureless against that, and I think as time goes on, hopefully not weeks or whatever, but after several miles, it will just kind of carve its little, not carve, but get its new grooves and be okay. So we're just gonna bolt everything. We actually just have the two. We actually just need to tighten this one down, and then you can see this will just push in, and then we need to tighten that one in, and then actually we're ready to put the tire back on. So
we'll have finished our whole entire
Yep.
brake job.
We'll have our brakes on. So next time we'll do the whole caliper setup, but that requires taking off your brake line, which we did not want to do. So our brake system also seems to be working just fine. We got no leaks and good pressure. So okay, just pause it. Okay, so we're just getting the tire on. Something to consider when, well, if you don't remember, you will remember. When you're putting on the front tires, first of all, they'll spin, and the emergency brake on this car just is for the back tires only, so their back tires are blocked. But when you're getting these on, when it's up in the air, before you drop it down, you just want to snug these up. You don't want to drop it on loose lug nuts, so we're just snugging these up
In a star.
in a star pattern. Well, we're just snugging them up, then we'll drop it down, and then we're just gonna make sure these are nice and tight, and make sure check the other ones one more time to make sure they're nice and tight, and then take this for a test drive. So there you go, front brakes, pads and rotors. Adios.